Hey guys, bit of a different video today. I've got this lovely Govee M1 light strip, and it's quite a nice strip. I bought it because it supported Matter. It was one of Govee's first products that supported Matter, and I was all in on HomeKit at the time. But now that I use Home Assistant, I'm finding it a little bit limiting, the fact that I can't select effects and things like that from automations. You couldn't in Apple Home either. It's a limitation of Matter, which is the way that it's connected. So I think I'm going to have to build my own and upgrade the space behind me a little bit. So I'm going to take a nice 12-volt power supply and a section of this new interesting LED strip which I found. Now in previous videos you may have heard me talk about the fact that there are trade-offs between the different voltages of addressable LEDs. And the main one was that as the voltage went up, the number of LEDs that you could control individually also went up, because they would string them together in 3s or 6s to get the voltage per LED back down to around 5 volts. But this one is a bit magic. It's a 12-volt strip that retains its individual addressability. It's a WS2815 strip, I believe. It seems like it's going to be a bit magic, so let's put that up here instead with one of our Wi-Fi LED controllers. I think I'm going to use our extra tiny one on the end, turn the right way, in there, nicely hidden away, and power it from up on the shelf where you can't see the power supply, and it'll be hopefully very neat and tidy install, and without that little bend in the corner which has been annoying me. So let's crack on. So the first thing I'm doing is taking down the old strip very awkwardly, just using the gap at the back because I could not be bothered to empty my shelf off. And then I'm wiring up a UK plug for the power supply and the other wires that I'm going to need to connect it up in the top left. Then I'm sticking the diffuser to the wall on the left to match the one on the right, sticking the LED strip in and wiring up the power supply. And then realized I had a problem. Okay, I mentioned previously that I am using this fancy new WS2815 LED strip for this particular project, but I ran into a bit of a problem midway through because I didn't think ahead about one of the other great features about this strip. Not only is it 12 volt but individually addressable, but as you can see here, it actually has 4 contacts on the strip, and that is, the extra one is a backup data channel. So basically, in a normal addressable LED strip, there is the one downside that if a particular diode fails, the strip will break from that point onwards because the data is no longer being passed on. So what this backup data channel does is it allows the message to get to the next diode even if one fails. So 2 in a row would have to fail in order for it to potentially break, meaning that you can permanently install these strips with a lot more confidence that at worst one diode might fail. But as a result of that, I hit a problem because the only connectors that I currently had at the time of recording were these ones, which have 3 pins in them. And if I place this strip into it, you can see here that that is going to miss both of the data channels, which is no good. So I've had to order new connectors because I'm not a huge fan of soldering and I don't have the time or patience today to try and solder some wire onto these pads. So I've got some new connectors coming, and hopefully that will allow me to finish this project. So back to it on day 2. And as you can see here, I'm doing a bit of prep work. I'm using the new connectors, which luckily fit perfectly, and adding a few bits of wire to them to make sure I've basically pre-built all of the connectors that I need to go from each section of strip, and that I've measured and cut all the sections of strip that I need to go along the back and the right-hand side, and then connecting them and sticking them up as I go. And I've also configured the full length of LEDs here so that as I'm going along I can see that everything is connected correctly. And as you can see, here it is looking very similar to the previous setup, but it now goes down the left-hand side as well. And here is the final result, looking pretty cool, doing the bouncing balls effect with a random cycle of colors. But when I set my recording scene, it now automatically switches into an audio reactive effect, which I think looks pretty cool. Hopefully that's not too distracting for you guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Quickly show you, I don't know if you can see down here, I'll put a picture up on the screen in a sec. You can just about see the cable hanging out of the bottom, which is where our teeny tiny LED controller is positioned. I've essentially cut the diffuser a little bit longer than the actual diffuser channel so that the controller is ultimately going to just hang out of the bottom of the diffuser slightly and then be covered by the excess diffuser on the front. Because this LED controller is super tiny, it can easily be hidden inside the diffuser itself without any bother, and without needing to be powered separately, so you will not ultimately see that cable hanging out of the bottom because the power supply is above there and it's injecting power over in that corner, which then travels both directions down the strip. In fact, I might tweak the brightness a bit. There we go. So it's a bit more subtle now while I'm actually in my recording scene. So hopefully that's not too distracting for you guys, but I'm going to play you out with a few of the other WLED effects that are available. So let me know which ones are your favorite. And without further ado, here are a whole bunch of the awesome WLED effects that our controller can do.